Now you should hear me. Now you should hear me. Oh no, you're gonna hear me. Give me about 20 seconds because I had that off. So yeah, yeah. So everything, I appreciate that because I was doing a couple of things. So I do appreciate everybody because I just want to let everybody know now that we're on, the mic is on, that what just happened was 100% me. We have some new equipment, and I hit the wrong button. When I hit the wrong button, everything went kind of crazy, and I don't. Well, I got to work that out to make sure I hit the right button next time. So my apologies there. So I want to give people time to come in to where we can do it, but I was basing everything on that. So let me see. Let me get this one thing ready. I'm done. Yeah. So I got a couple of things I was doing, and now I gotta wait to everybody come in to where we can get it. So we got a lot of people coming back in, and we got everything back. The sound is up, and we got everything pretty much going. But I made sure a couple of things has changed. So even if you see the change there, you should see where everything is pretty good. So again, I know people couldn't hear me because same thing. We got some new equipment here, and there's some new equipment that makes sure right here I can just hit a button and it'll take care of other stuff. And what happened? I hit the wrong button on something else, and everything went haywire. So 100% me. So so just like I tell you in a heartbeat, I'm not the brightest cookie in the box. That is being said, but we got to make sure that is also, we can all make certain mistakes. So I do apologize for that, and hopefully we can, get a lot of that stuff straightened out, which is shut down for a little bit of time, but we should be okay. And I want to make sure, I actually got to set up the other side over here. So what I did, I just said I'm gonna go ahead and go live so people can make sure everything is okay, because if not, I will get some of my elders, which I think that was one of them was hitting me. I was trying to take care of something to make sure everything was okay. And right now we're good, and I just want to make sure everything we're good on right now. So so right now I got part of it, but now I just need to get my Bibles up, and then we can go from there. So I got a couple of things I'm doing here, and I'm just about set. And actually, it's helping us out because it's giving other people time to, once they go back to the home page, now they can get back to, then they'll see the live section there, and then it'll kick back up, and we're back going again. So I do appreciate you, you guys, for bearing with us for this time where my ignorance of doing a couple of things, and appreciate you guys taking the time. But I do want to make sure I get everything back up right, and everything set, which I'm pretty sure I'm just about ready. So I just want to make sure that that we're good. So I got this one. I got one more, and we should be in pretty good shape. And we all got that. Let me put this back to Romans. We got Romans, and let me get that one up. We got to get this to 18. So we're good there. So again, a lot of people I know sitting there wondering what happened. But as I said, we got some new equipment in here. I accidentally hit the wrong button because of the equipment that was set that was simplifying stuff to where I can just get to things really easily just by this button here. And I hit the wrong button. And as soon as I hit that button, everything stopped. So, yeah, I got to learn this stuff here, which I'll probably get ridiculed by some of my younger deacons because I get on them about stuff. So I'm probably going to hear this again. So I do apologize, but everything else we got worked out now. But I do want to speak to you, and before we get started, as we was hearing stuff yesterday in Daniel class, and after the Daniel class, some things went on, and that I want to bring up. That right after the class, you can see here you got a counseling meeting that clicks in here, and anyone that want to go back there, you're free to come back there. I'm letting you know right up front, you're free to come back there. We have only really the requirements, and it's 2. No matter what, I need to see you. And 2, don't come back there with some crazy name. I need to know your name. I need to know what I'm dealing with. Because we're going to have a counseling session back there. It's going to go for about an hour, hour and a half. And what I want to do, I want to give you guys some tools that you need to continue to move forward. And this is basically on people who have loved ones, husbands or wives or children or mothers or fathers or friends that have separated themselves from you, or they giving you a harder time because you now adhere more to what the scripture says and not basing stuff based on what man is telling you. So what I want to do is give you some tools, and it's something that don't need to be really in the front where you're just doing it to people. We can actually do the counseling session right in the back, and basically I'm going to give you some tools. So it's not something where we're going, oh, we got this, we got this. It's none of that. It's going to be back there where I'm going to give you some tools to which you can put in your own toolbox to where you can help you move forward. So again, this is for anyone that actually follows this channel, as well as anyone that is part of this channel. You're more than welcome to come in the back, but if you do refuse to show your face, you will be removed. It's that simple. So I need to see you. And the second part is at least put up your real name. Other than that, you're free to come back there. You do it the other way, as I said again, you will be removed. If you choose not to show your face, then that's on you. Because I'm letting you know right up front, because we have some people that say, well, something wrong with my camera. Something wrong with your camera, then that counseling session is not for you. If you can't change your name, because this is on Zoom, if you can't change your name, then this session is not for you. So I'm being very upfront, and I think that's being extremely fair with everyone. Because come back there, and I'm allowing anyone who normally even follow this channel to come back there to see and get some equipment to how you can continue to move forward in what you're doing. So with that said, we're going to get back into Romans. We're going into Romans chapter 8. We got to pick it up at verse 18. However, even with this verse 18, and as we were saying before, I welcome everyone back here. I do apologize for what went on, because as I said, that was 100% me. I hit the wrong button on the new equipment that we have here, and I thought I was hitting the right button. I don't know what I was saying. But I do know I'm going to hear from a couple of deacons, because I get on them about their youngness, and they see the opportunity. I'm pretty sure they're going to jump on it. So that's comes with the territory. So with that, we're going to move over to, we're going to look at the book of Romans, and we're going to pick this up from where we was going. So we want to make sure we have everything tied in. I'm just pushing this to where we'll be good on it. So now we need to go back over to where we was looking at Romans on here, and we need to remember a couple of things here. We need to remember a couple of things here on what was going on in Romans chapter 8, and right now we're in verse 18. So I just want to highlight that for right now, because that's where we're going to be focusing on. But we got to remember, even when we go up to 15, we're going to kind of go down and just catch back up with it. So what we did the last time, we started at 15. It says, for ye have not received the spirit of bondage again. You got to remember what we said last week. Again. So you have not received the spirit of bondage again to desire. See, it's telling you right here. It's right up front. The spirit of bondage to desire. Why you want to, most people, why do you want to go back into bondage? It makes no sense. But that's what a lot of us do. We'll go right back into bondage. That's something he's telling you. We didn't receive that again. He said, but you received the spirit of adoption. The spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Abba, Father. And most people would teach that Abba is still saying Father. That's not the truth. That Abba is telling you, honor and respect Father. And that's why you go right back over to, which we was in there, and just to give you an overview on that, actually we can do it even right here, because it's in the first chapter. It's in the first chapter, so we can go right here and pull it. We're going to go to Malachi. We're going to look at chapter 1. So the same thing is what he looks for and what he talks about. And he's going to tell you the same thing. Watch how the Spirit of God runs this. He says, a son, a servant, that's what he's literally getting to, honor his father, a servant his master. If then I be a father, so if he's a father, where's my honor? Where's his honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Where is my desire? Respect and honor to him. Saith the Lord of hosts, oh, you priests, you despise my name. So he's looking at this as a whole. Because we're so quick, and this is our problem, we are so quick to sit there, to look at people that was back there, our forefathers, our foremothers, back there. And every time we look, and everything, only thing we see is all their error. And then we sit there and say, oh, that's what they did. But now he takes us, and now we're better than them, and now he's going to take us as a son. That's the biggest, craziest thing you can ever think of. The weirdest thing you can ever think of. And then he going to come, and they say he come in his own, and then he died for us because we can't do right and don't know how to do. So he going to die for us just to make us right. He dying to make us right. You think about how stupid that is. That's Christian doctrine. He gonna come die for you so you can be right when you do something wrong. You can't tell me that ain't crazy. So that's why he says, we cry, honor and respect Father, because that's where it all goes to. But people will tell you, Abba means Father. That's the biggest lie you ever see. And he says, the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. We are the children of God. And if children, then heirs. Heirs of God. Because why? Because we belong to him. When you finish doing your work in the field, you're going to get called in the house. And you did it right, he's coming to get you because you belong to him. It's the same thing. You look at it the same way. We have to be in these bodies, suffering unto death until it's done. Some longer than others. It's the same as when that porch light come on. When that porch light come on, he ain't looking at to grab anybody else but what's his. So if you're the one, when that porch light comes on, and he coming to get you, he's only coming to get you. He's not coming to get your brother. He's not coming to get your mother, your sister, your wife, your husband, your friends. He said, you, when that street light comes on, it's time for you to come in. That's him. Because you're heirs of God. You belong to him. And we join heirs with Christ. Why? Because that's what's in you. So if that's in you, he's coming back to get that. And if you tied to that, you're good. If so that we suffer with him, which we will, and why we're going to have a counseling session later, because that just bringing up another issue, but we're going to take care of that. That we may also be glorified together. And now we come into the verse on what we need to go in and study. And it says this, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that we shall reveal, that shall be revealed in us. He said a mouthful here. But he's on this 8, he's kind of going over just some stuff that we need to do. Meaning, we cannot, on our suffering of the flesh, because we've been fed a certain way. But you cannot compare these two the same way. Let's look at something. We're going to look at something here. Let's go to Zechariah. We're going to look at Zechariah and check out something. Uh-oh. Messing that up. C-E-C. E-C-H. And so we want this Zechariah. We want to go over here to chapter 11. We're going to look at something here. In chapter 11, verse 9, it makes this clear. It says, and then said I will not feed you, that the dead, that the dieth, let it die, and that you see that is to be cut off, and let it be cut off, and let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. What do this have to be doing with this here? Because it's telling you everything. How are you going to compare the glory of God with the suffering? This is the thing, because you're going to be suffering. And if you're going to be suffering, that's why I said, and I kind of been going on through this little rant, supposedly, because people will tell you, how you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. How you going to compare? How you going to prepare? I reckon that the sufferings of this present time, he's telling you, you're going to be suffering something. This is what I want you to see. He reckoned this up. So when someone tell you, how are you? I'm blessed and highly favored. And they taking it that God is being extremely, extremely good to them. They got the wrong God. I don't care how you look at it, how you flip it, how you twist it, because it's telling you clearly right here, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time, because the people of God is just traveling through here. They do not, and they are not the inhabitants of this land. And they are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. It's talking about later on. So how are we going to sit there and compare the same thing? You going to compare, that's the same thing. You sit there and say, well, I got me a new car. And I'm going to keep this car, and I'm going to take this car into my next life. How you going to compare what you can't see with something that you see? Don't make any sense. But this is what they do. Because what they try to do, you have people who teach, and what they do, they show you their wealth and how they have gotten wealth from other people by deceiving you. And then saying, this is how God blessed me. God didn't bless them. Through their deceiving ways, they have became very wealthy. And this is what this is talking about. That's why he wants you to see this. And then as he goes on, in verse 19, he makes sure, he says, for the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestations of the sons of God. Now that is a beautiful thing, but we got to see how that's talking about, because the expectations is talking about something we need to look at. It's an object of hope that is revealed in us, so won't need to wait. As when I sit there, and this been coming up quite a bit with some people where we've been talking about the butterfly and the caterpillar, and it has other creatures that I can use, but this is one that is readily available in almost any city you can go in, and that's why I like using that one, because the other ones you only see them in more rural type places, but that's the same thing. So the earnest expectations of the creatures that's waited for the manifestation that's being made known, meaning the same thing. You have two creatures, you have a butterfly, you have a caterpillar. They're one and the same. They one and the same. But how can excuse me, how can a caterpillar know he's going to become a butterfly? See, that's something one you need to think about. How can this caterpillar knowing he's going to become a butterfly? How do you know what the outcome is going to be? How do you know how he's going to look? But if this caterpillar get off of those one plant and go eat from a whole nother plant, that caterpillar, when it goes into that cocoon, it will die. It's a zero-sum game. It'll never open up. It's going to just be in a liquid form, which will probably later dry up, but that's it. It will die. It's the same with the same manifestation, with the expectation on what we're doing. So when you have the same thing here, where a lot of us, we like to go doctrine hopping. We want to go get some doctrine from over this one. We want to get some over there because they have this type, and we can get some of this other kind over here. You're going and getting a lot of different doctrines. You have a smorgasbord. And most people don't know what a smorgasbord is, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a buffet. When I was in my teen years, it was called a smorgasbord. So most people might don't know what it is, but a smorgasbord is what you call a buffet. Why? Because you can get many different types of food and everything you want to get. It's just a variety of everything. And that's the difference. Because when you go to those smorgasbords and you're going to eat those types of foods, don't ever think you're getting the highest quality of anything. It's just a bunch of stuff. Because you got to remember, if that caterpillar is ordained to become something else by holding to something else, by holding on to that one tree, then he can move forward. But if you go learn from somewhere else, the problem you're going to have is you're going to have two doctrines. Two doctrines. And let's look at some of this. We want to look at some help on this. We're going to look at Second Esdras. We're going to look at Second Esdras, and we're going to go to chapter 6 in verse 49. And it's telling you this from the main thing here. It tells you this. It said, then didst thou ordained two living creatures. Two. I don't care how you look at it, why we want to go around about it. In this life, he ordained two types of creatures. Two. That's all you will ever see. Two types of creatures. The one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan. The one, Enoch. The other, Leviathan. Enoch is the special one. See, because when we look at Enoch, most people don't realize and why they teach so badly on Enoch. Enoch was no different than being a caterpillar. I want to show you something. We're going to look at something here. Let's look at this. We're going to show you how Enoch was this caterpillar. Because Enoch was from one state and went into another state. And we're going to see this here in this here. So we're going to go over here to Genesis chapter 5, and we're going to look at verse 21. And then we might well highlight all this. But it says, and Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. So Enoch lived 65 years. 65. And Enoch walked with God after he begot Methuselah, 300 years. After, not before, after. So if he walked with God after he begot him, what was Enoch doing before? He was a creature. But it says after that, he walked with God. A lot of us is going to do the same identical thing. Every one of us, once we was birthed, that's why it's telling you this right here. The same reason why it's telling you. Once he begot him, once he birthed us, once this head was birthed, after that, he walked with God. It's telling you the same silhouette picture here. Most people are not understanding because it's really a hardcore spiritual verse to which you got to see how he did it. But we got to see he was ordained, and two creatures are ordained. He's telling you right away, ordained two creatures. Either you're going to be a creature of the flesh or you're going to be a creature of the spirit. And if you're a creature of the spirit, it's that flesh that is the creature. What's on the inside belongs to God, which is not a creature. That's the difference. But you see here, it has the main thing that's keep going on. Because this Leviathan, if you're going to hold on to that, and people will tell you, oh, well, Leviathan is this sea creature and this monster and this, yeah, okay, let's look at this. We're going to see what this Leviathan is and why so many people they teach this, and guys, they teach you that this is actually a real sea monster, which is crazy within itself. But look at this. In Isaiah chapter 27, it says this in verse 1. It says this. It says, in that day, with his sword and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan. Leviathan, this other creature right here, he's going to punish him with the word. He's telling you right here, he's going to punish him with the word. the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent. And he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea, that is among the people. This crooked serpent, he's a double tongue. Why you think when you look at a snake and he spits his tongue out, it's split? He's a double tongue sucker. He's a liar. He's coming out with two different doctrines. Sea monster. And what they do, they seek the sea monster amongst the sea, because he's a sea monster. It's telling you right up front, he is a sea monster. And that's all that means. Leviathan, sea monster. And it looking and seeking amongst poor and helpless people, old and young, to where he can double tongue and crook them among the people, pushing a double tongue doctrine. This creature waits and changes based on the expectation of those people. This is what he does. That's why, excuse me, he holds this in the earnest expectation of the creature wait for the manifestation. So he has to wait to see which one is going to manifest out of this. Some is going to be Enoch, is going to change from those wicked ways. Some is going to turn and they're going to be Leviathan. Some is going to be just like Leviathan, no matter what. This is what Paul, so he has to see. And that's why he says he tests you. He's going to prove to see what you're going to do. That's why he does this. Because he want to see, are you going to be Enoch? Or are you going to be a Leviathan? And he takes this, and most people are going to sit there and they'll find other ways to sit there and think they can get around it. That I promise you. Because I hear it all the time. So as he going, he's saying, for the creature was made subject to vanity. Subject to vanity. Subject to temporary things. Temporal. That's going to vanish. Over time, it's done. Just like I can sit there and tell you, my baby sister, she had a car back there when she was early in her teens, I think, into her 20s. And once she ended up getting other cars, she had this one vehicle she put in the backyard of my parents' house. So she left them back there with her mom and dad. It just sits back there. It sits back there. And it's just sitting back there. Still to this day, it's just sitting back there. And I believe we went back there running. But it's been sitting, I know, more than 20 or probably 30 years. Sitting. And the crazy thing is, in this world, that same vehicle that's there is worth some money. But those things is vanity, because over time, as it's doing, it's just rusting away. Over time, it's just rusting away because it's vanity. And that's what the creature can be subject to. So most people will look at things that is vanity, things that over time, it ain't going to be worth nothing anyway. Not willing, but by reason of him that have subject the same in hope. So we got to clearly understand what he's talking about. See, because according to the flesh, people are going to follow flesh. Because if that's the hope that they have, that's something that is in vanity, that's what they're going to follow. I don't care what you do. They're going to follow vanity. He ordained, this is clearly ordained. What you're going to bite on is what you're going to find out who they are. Peter says this, and we look at this in Peter, 2 Peter. And let's look at something here. 2 Peter, we're going to chapter 2. We're going to look at verse 19. Well, start at verse 18, be better. It says, for when they speak great swelling words of vanity, what? Those lying preachers. Those lying preachers, as we said, swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh. Exactly what we've been talking about. You have these guys that sit there and they're going to tell you all these things. Tell you, they got the name it and claim it doctrines. They have prosperity doctrines. They have the doctrine where they're going to sit there and tell you they're going to help take the word of God all over the world. How you going to take it all over the world and you can go to any part of the world and doctrine is there. The worst part is this. They're going to a lot of these places and they don't even know the English language good. How do we know? Because you can go right there in the Bible and you can check it right there. And you can see they don't understand the Bible good. But they can entice you with things that they have. It's vanity. You'll be subject to vanity. He's telling you, creatures was made subject to vanity. That's why they can sit there and tell you, you go in some church and they say, hey, you want a Mercedes? Name it, go there and just get it. You claim it. You got preachers teach that. You want this house? Just go get that house. Just go get it. God will take care of it. You name it and you claim it. It's a doctrine. The doctrine's all out there right now. And then he say, God won't do it. See, because he's going to put a caveat in there. It's a caveat. And that caveat is, he's not going to do anything for you until you pay the bill. Because you got to pay the bill. I'm giving you the information. You pay the bill. He going to release a blessing to you. That's what they'll use. Meaning you paid some tithes and offering to him. And then God going to look at that and then he's going to give you something. You got one famous guy, he even said the same thing. He said, some people pay tithes. And then if you don't pay the tithe the right way, which tithes don't have nothing to do with money, but he's using it as money. He said, if you don't pay tithe the right way, and you didn't pay enough to make sure your tithes was full, then what he does, and you want to give an offering, he say God ain't gonna look at that because you ain't even paid your tithe, so he ain't gonna even look at the offering. So both of them was done in vain. He said the lights will stay off until you done paid that tithe bill. When you paid the tithe bill the right way, then when you do an offering bill, he gonna take care of you. You can't tell me that's stupid as day. Haggai chapter 2 and verse 8 tells you, for the silver is his and the gold is his. So all the money is his. So why do we want money? But they want to make sure you understand the vanity things, because what they do, they put that there. You see that they're in a position of wealth. You see him with a $5,000-$6,000 suit on. You see him driving around with bodyguards and in a Bentley. But I can't say too much because I just got a Bugatti not too long ago. But the main thing is this. The main thing is this. When you have done that, now you're showing that to those people. Saying, if you want to get like me, y'all need to pay that bill. Y'all need to pay the bill. You don't pay the bill, you can't get these things. You can't get these things. That's craziness. That's craziness. And seeing people will sit there and say, man, I didn't know he had a Bugatti. I can't physically drive it. but I have one. It's a kit that I can look at on my desk every day. Made out of metal, exact replica. And I appreciate the family that gave it to me. But the thing is, over time, people will sit there and say, well, man, I wish I had one that I can drive. And it goes back to the same lust on what Peter's saying. Because those great swelling words and lust of the flesh, it goes back to, now, same as I'm saying, even with Bugatti. Bugatti got a car that cost you $8 million. So you tell me, why would somebody go spend $8 million in a car that costs $5,000 can get you to the same place that one that costs $8 million gonna do? The only difference is the look, the appearance, and the ability to have something that somebody else can't have. The lust of the flesh, vanity. And it comes vanity, and they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness, those that are clean escape from them who live in error. You see how he's running this? Because the creature that is subject to vanity is going to be hooked on that vanity. He see, oh man, he's driving this nice car. Oh man, I want to get on his team. Really? You want to get on his team? Why? Because he got the car. Okay, he got the car. What about it? I want to be on his team. I want to be like him. Really? It's vanity. So the hook is the exact thing that you're going to be subject to. The exact same thing you're going to be subject to. You guys can remember, even a while back, they had Puff Daddy. He had a type of reality show out where if you wanted to get on his team, he had people doing strenuous things, had nothing to do with what his craft was. His craft was sampling music and change the beats around and things to make people dance to him and everything else. Good at what he does. More power to him. But he'll tell people, he had people walking 5-6 miles for a piece of cake. For a piece of cake. And then they had to walk it back, and it better be, it had to be a certain way, perfect and all this stuff. The same way they had that dumb man they want to call the president, Donald Dumb Trump. The same thing with him. He had that apprentice running out there. People apprentice why they want to be on the same level as this idiot, and he can't even control money. He's broke. He'd say he ain't broke. That's what he's saying. But you'll see, it's gonna come out. Can't no billionaire who say he's worth $10 billion be sitting there sweating, owing anybody $400 million. It don't make no sense. He can liquidate assets in a heartbeat to pay $400 million to anyone. So that lets you know he don't have what he say he have. But people see that, and they see the wealth that he say he has, and people want to be on his level, so they suck up to him. What is that? Through those swelling vanity words in the lust of the flesh, you want to be on that same level. That's the hook that you are subject to on what we do. He gets on more. He said, and the ones who escape that, they see this game. That's what Paul is even saying. See, because you're going to be subject to vanity. But Peter even let you know, and we're clean escape from them who lived in vanity. So if you living in vanity, which you living in error, you can get away from it because you know it's all error anyway. But verse 19 it says, while they promised them liberty. That's another problem within itself. That's another problem within itself. Liberty. They're going to pick and choose what they're going to follow. They're going to have liberty to do this. They're going to do this under liberty. And we're going to go over here to James. We're going to let you look at that real close. He says, liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. Based on you really that Leviathan. But I want to show you to make sure under this liberty part on how this all looks out and how we look when we do certain things. We're going to go to James chapter 2. We're going to pick this up at verse 12. Because I want you to see this. I want you to clearly get this while we looking at these two. As well as what he said, as what we're going to be seeing right here. In James chapter 2, verse 12, he's making this clear. Actually, we're going to go down to 13, so I might well highlight all of it. It says, so speak ye and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. Because most people going to do that. The same if you go up and read this, they're going to use liberty to justify themselves. Why? Because they're going to respect the people. I'll read it for you to where we can fully understand what this is saying. It says, but if ye have respect to persons, then that's what we do. We have respect to people based on they wealth level. If you think they have money, all of a sudden, whatever they say, they like E.F. Hutton. Oh, we watch what we say to this person. This person, they got money. They know something. Yeah, they might have inherited. They were still just as much as a fool when they got the money. But it says, but we have respect to person. Ye commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. I'm telling you, this is what we do. It says, and whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend one point, he is guilty of them all. He is guilty of all. Why? Because if you don't know the law, when you break one, you broke them all. That's 100% true. Because you're doing it according to the flesh anyway. And they don't get it. And right now, it's not the focus to tear this down. Because that's a simple tear down. But watch what the point is over here, why we here. It says, for he that say, do not commit adultery. Watch him how he pumped this liberty here. While they promise them liberty, watch how this liberty kicks in. Watch, I want you to really see how they do this. They'll tell you, don't commit adultery. Says also, do not kill. Now watch what happens. Because you're going to see the law of liberty kicks in. Now if thou commit no adultery, so he ain't going to commit the adultery. But watch what he do. Yet, if they kill, what he going to kill? Why? Because it's law of liberty. He's picking and choosing what he's going to do. They are becoming transgressors to the law. And he's going to tell you that's what they did it. Because verse 12 tell you. People are going to say, well, it didn't say that. No, it said that. You just didn't understand it. Watch what verse 12 says. So speak ye and so do, that ye should be judged by the law of liberty. Because that's what they did. They killed, they just didn't commit adultery. But they killed. They was using the law of liberty. This is why it shows you so why it's so important to make sure you understand the scriptures and not let a man push another doctrine inside your head. Watch what he says this. For he should have judgment without mercy. You ain't gonna have it without no love. So you already know what that outcome is. You already know what the outcome is then. If you're going to have judgment without mercy, no love of God in there, you already know what's going to go on. You already know what that outcome, how that outcome looks. He that has showed no mercy, why? Because you're using law of liberty. You're picking and choosing what you're going to do. And mercy rejoices against judgment. Because what? Mercy is against judgment. Same as the spirit is against the lust of the flesh. That's why he's saying this. This is why we're holding on to this. See, the same thing here on what we do when we're looking at the law. Why are these two against each other? The same thing why we become over here and we're servants of corruption, for whom a man is overcome, for the same he is brought in bondage. Something we were just talking about earlier. The spirit of bondage. That's why that's highlighted over here, right here in purple. Ye have not received the spirit of bondage again. You ain't received that. But some of us are. Because the same thing what he said when he made a covenant with us is this. When we look at this scripture as a whole, and the same thing is here. In Deuteronomy chapter 10, we're going to look at verse 12 to find out exactly what this is being said. It says, and now, Israel, do the Lord thy God require of thee. So the spirit of thy God requires of thee. What do he require? See, that's the thing. What do he require of you? And not to sit there and be playing around with the law of liberty. He's saying this. He says, but to fear, to desire the spirit of thy God, to walk in all his ways, to love him, and to serve the spirit of thy God with all their heart and all their soul. You following that? But some of us is going to be held on to something else, because that's the doctrine that he's telling you. That's the doctrine. And when you hold on to this doctrine, it ain't no law against that doctrine. Let's look at this. You love the Lord thy God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. Let's look at this. Let's look at this all together. We're going to go to Galatians chapter 5. We're going to pick it up at 22. And we're going to see this. This is what Paul broke down for us. He says, but the fruit of the Spirit, because that's the law of it, is love. To love your Lord thy God with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength, joy, peace, long suffering. Told you, we're going to go through some suffering. Why? Because he already told us over here. He already told us over here. Because we're going to go through some suffering. We also seen that with Peter. Gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such, there is no law. There is no law there. Because why? We're not trying to sit there and sugarcoat anything. We're not trying to do the law of liberty. This is what he's talking about. This is why we have to remember when he's sitting there telling us what we're going to be subject to. And if we're going to be subject to the things of the flesh, we're going to get screwed up. But he goes on more here. He don't even finish there. And don't worry, we're going to come back. We're going to put those precepts in there. So don't worry about that part. We're going down to verse 22. Because Paul, on this 8, he just kind of giving you an overview on everything. So he says, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from bondage of corruption unto a glorious liberty of the children of God. Same thing. Because that creature, if it's Enoch, you can be changed. You can be changed. And you can be delivered. But if you is really seeking that other one, that faith, that other flesh, you're going to get caught up. It's automatic. It's automatic. You're not going to get out of it. because those things is going to catch you. Those things is going to get you. When you look over here at this, now this is not the precept we're going to be putting in there later, because it tells you in verse 17, it says, "For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. These are contrary to one another." So we know that. And then we know the works of the flesh are manifest are these, which we know that is adultery. How adultery going to be rolling around with the Most High God? How fornication? How this going to be rolling around with God? It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hate. How is this stuff rolling around with God? So you saying Christ came down to where he's saying, and what people say, he came down and he died to where you can do this. You got preachers that tell you he died for all your future sins of doing those things, right? Those very things right there, according to the flesh. And they delivering you, as it said from the beginning, as I showed you. He did this through what? Through lying words. Through lying, vain words, they got you on this. So this is why the same problem we have here. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at something. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 12. We're going to look at a pretty good lie that people actually pushes out, but we're going to straighten it out. So it's no problem. So we know this. So this is why you have two. This is why you have two. Because it says a mixed multitude went up in Exodus chapter 12, verse 38. A mixed multitude went up also with them, with the flocks and the herd, even much cattle. The mixed multitude. So the mixed multitude, people tell you, people teach, people always want you to understand one thing. One thing is what? They'll tell you that was a mixed multitude of people. That was all people together. That's a lie. That's not the truth. And people hate, I know they say, well, you be real blunt about it. No, you ain't got to be blunt about it. I'm being very straight up about it. The mixed multitude was a mixed multitude mixed of believers and non-believers. You can see that's why they kept challenging the Spirit of God as they was in the wilderness. Something happened, he ain't God. Something happened, he ain't God. Something happened, he ain't God. Every time until they get it. As soon as they don't get what they want, all of a sudden you don't have the ability to do that today. You had that even in families and wives and husbands and children. You had that today. The same thing. They believe you until they don't get what they want. When they don't get what they want, all of a sudden it's a problem with you. Where do you think that came from? It's a mixed multitude. It's a mixed multitude. They're non-believers that was delivered, that came out in the same liberty of those children, came out with the children of God. The mixed multitude. Some was believing, some didn't. However, once you hear the truth and you still don't believe, you will be separated from the children of God. That's clear. It's all in Scripture. Let's look at this. And that's why he's saying, that's why liberty into corruption, it has to be separated. All this has to be separated. We're going to look somewhere where we don't normally go. We're going to look at Nehemiah, because Nehemiah actually breaks this down beautifully. Nehemiah chapter 13, we're going to look at verse 3. We're going to look at verse 3 and see. Watch how he breaks this down beautifully. It says, "Now it came to pass that when he had heard the law," I want you to see, I want you to truly get this. When he had heard the law, when they have heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. It's not going to be, oh, well, this one going to roll with us and this. No, that's not the truth. He's going to separate all this. All this because the creature itself shall be delivered from bondage of corruption unto the glorious liberty unto the children of God. Because once they hear the truth, they're going to follow the word of God. And you got some going to sit there and say, well, I'm not too for sure. He need to show me a little bit more. Even though he's showing it, you need to show me a little bit. I need to see a little bit more before I do something. Before I do, no. I'm going to tell you what. If he do this, then I believe him. And just say it come to pass. Okay, well, he did that, but I don't know. He need to do this. Once he do this, then I know I believe him. Okay. That come to pass. Okay, well, yeah, well, he did that, but yeah, anybody can do that, but he do this. No matter what, always doubt, because it's the wantonness of things of the flesh. That's that hook that's in you. And that's why he's saying he separates this from the truth, from the children of God. So that's why when you sit there and see this here, that's why Paul, we in Paul, but Paul going to get to this even in the next chapter, but we just have the opportunity to move ahead because he already wrote the letter. So we just can move ahead on it. Yeah, why is this not doing that? Wait a second. Let me see. Why is it not doing it? Oh, that's why it's not. That's why I wasn't doing it. That's why I wasn't doing it. But let's go here to Romans chapter 9. We're going to look at verse 8. And we're going to see why Paul even says this. And we can see it ahead of time. It says, that is, they which are the children of the flesh. What are the children of the flesh? They're the children of bondage. These are not the children of God. So it's not complex. It's very straightforward. When we looking at things, and he's saying he made one a Leviathan and one was Enoch, one that can be converted and one that will not be converted. Now we see the difference. And I don't care that opportunity is given to everyone. And the same that believe that spoken word and some are not. So I don't care if it's your own brother, your own sister, your mother, your wife, your husband. If they still have that Leviathan and they have that hook in their mouth, these are children of the flesh. I don't care how you see it. And people will sit there and they pain that and they dislike that and they hate that. But the main part of it is that's not your prerogative. That is not your prerogative. That's God's. God even said this if you look down here. It says, even in 14, which is not part of it, but it says, what shall we say then? Why? Because he loved Jacob and he hated Esau? He hated the ways of Esau. But what should you say then? What we like to do is judge and put our own input on God's business. So what should you say then? Because he said that. He said, I love Jacob, but I hated Esau. What do you gonna say? The first thing we want to do is, well, God can't do that. God, Paul said it. I can literally show it to you. I can go right there. I can go right in Malachi and show it to you, where he tells you out his own mouth. He tell you out his own mouth what he said. But we'll sit there and we're gonna sit there and call ourselves gonna judge God based on what he did. Based on what he did. So what you gonna say because God said this? Most people gonna have an issue with it. What sense do that make? What sense do that make? But it says this. Look at this. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? So most people I'm telling you the truth right now. You have people will judge God based on what that happened. I had a guy, I told you this a while back, and I tell it to you real quick because it's a short one. But me and my brother was on the bus. It was a guy, he was deaf. And we got into a conversation, he was just sitting there back there and he trying to conversate with us and everything. So we was inquisitive. So we asked him, what made him become deaf? And he clearly said, God effed up. Without hesitation. He said, God effed up. Those conversations stopped. Why? Because he was a child of the flesh. He felt since God didn't take care of whatever the issue was, whatever made him go deaf, or if he was born deaf, I don't know which one it was. But for whatever reason, that he was not delivered from that. To him, God screwed up. And he put that charge on God. So what shall you say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? He says, yeah. The Bible says, God forbid. Because there ain't no unrighteousness in God. He tells you everything up front. Everything is told us up front. But we choose to go the direction we want to go. And once we go that direction and it don't come out right, the first thing we do is put it back on God. Is put it back on God. This is the problem that we have. So he has to separate the mixed multitude. You got believers, you got non-believers. You got non-believers, you got a lot of non-believers just based on the ones who trying to sit there to do everything when they sit there and say, you don't eat this, and you can put 5 years on your life. They used to say that on TV. And most people know what I'm talking about, but you used to see that on the news. They say, you eat this, you eat 1 egg a week or something, you can add 5 years to your life. They used to say that. You exercise this way, you can add 3 to 5 years to your life. I don't remember anyone in the scriptures where they have consulted with God, where God said, that's what he's going to do. They do this, I'm going to add 5 years to their life because they exercise at least once a week. Now, I can't find no scripture in there in this Bible that says that. I haven't found a scripture in the Bible that says if he eat lamb every other week or eat tuna every day, he's going to add 10 years to their life. You ain't going to find the scripture in there. You're not going to find anything in there. But people are so carnal. Because why? They believe in what men say. This is men doctrine. Men doctrine tell you this and they believe it. Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. Those are children of the flesh. These are not the children of God. And it's all based on one thing. All based on one thing. Why you were going to bondage is right here. Let me take this off. And that's why. Not as though the word of God has taken none effect. Because you got a mixed multitude. For they are not all Israel that are of Israel. He's very upfront. Just because you're Israel don't make you Israel. You have people who sit there and tell you they the daughter of Yah. They say all kind of things and do everything contrary to it. So we always come to these crossroads, and those crossroads you're gonna hit one at every turn. At every turn we're gonna run into them. And in 22 it tells you this. It makes this perfectly clear for us. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. Most of us don't even get what that's saying, but we're gonna find out. But this is actually explaining a metaphor, which actually runs you all through the Bible. Just this one verse alone. This will run you all through the Bible. Why? Because this metaphor is like one that groan when pain. It's the same. So when you groaning in travail, this is the same as 2:1. When the pain hits, you will groan. And you follow until it is complete, the cycle of that pain. When that cycle of pain is complete, the groaning stops. The same as you can go to any woman that has a child and she birthed a child. She will moan and groan and travail until that cycle is complete. And that cycle that completes it is once that birth of that child is out. Then the cycle stops. This is clear, and it's all scripture that we look at. So when we want to understand what's happening, we got to always remember what's going on. And then it says, not only they, but ourselves also, for which have first fruits of the Spirit. And then he always throws a curveball. The first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves grown within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. This is Paul. So even though we are the first fruits of the Spirit, because most people sitting there talking about they're waiting for the first resurrection, and they don't have the most common sense that you in the first resurrection, the ones that see the truth. The second resurrection has no strength because you're going to be dead, and once you wake up, you're going to be somewhere you don't want to be. And that's where you can't change it. So even though we ourselves also have the first fruits of the Spirit, the first fruits of the Spirit is you done came to the knowledge of the truth. But we ourselves grown. We're going to groan. Why? Because you're going to receive some things, and you waiting for that adoption. You waiting for your turn to come up for your body to be changed. That's what he's talking about. So we're going to go back and we want to put in some precepts here. And in here, we want to go over to, well, that's verse 19. We want verse 18. Actually, I want to do this. We want to do it that way. We're going to do it that way. So we're going to go to verse 18, and then we're going to put in the precepts. And as I said, immediately after this, we know a lot of people is going through a lot of problems. And I believe one of my elders, I believe it was Elder T. I think it was Elder T, because I know I talked to Elder T. Me and him spoke about it this morning, that we're going to be doing a counseling session in the back. And everyone is welcome to come to the back while I'm getting ready to put these precepts in here. Everyone is welcome to come back, but they do have the requirements. 1, I need to see your face. And 2, don't come back there with some weird name. You come back with a weird name and you feel that you can't turn your camera on, then you will be removed from there. However, everybody is welcome to come back there. So that one we're making clear. And the link you'll see back in the description. So let us go ahead. We're going to put in these, and once we finish here, we're going to go over there. So the first one we will need to put in is Zechariah, and we got 11 and 9. And we can take that one out, and we can we're gonna go over here to 19. Now 19. Now I want to put in something that we need to know. We're gonna put in expectation. Why? Because I want you to know what that is. And it's I just do it that way. Hope that is revealed. We'll just do that. We'll just put that there. But then what we also want is second address. We want that in there. 649. We want Genesis 5:21 through 22. And we have Isaiah 27, verse 1. And then I want to make sure you guys have this in there, because I do know dudes teach this, but Leviathan is just talking about a sea monster. And the sea, we know, if you have that keyword Paleo Hebrew dictionary, you know what the sea is, and the sea is talking about people. So we know that. So that helps you out there. And we're going to go through, and we're going to go down to verse 20. And we got 2 Peter 2:18 and 19. And we're going to also go over, I saved that, I don't know why it tripped on there, but I was saving something to make sure. And we want to look at the same example, which we got to see what you're going to see there, and that's James 2:12 and 13. So where you can understand that one. And then we got Deuteronomy. We got Deuteronomy 10 and 12. We got Galatians. I don't know why I'm spelling them all the way out, because I've been doing that now. Well, that's beside the point. So let me go ahead. And now we got to go down to 21. And we got Exodus 12:38. And we got Nehemiah. We got 13 and 3. And we also have the other one. We have Romans 9 and 6. No, 9, 8, and it goes backwards. Then we got 6. And then we have verse 22. And verse 22 is just clear, as well as 23. So we have both of those, but 23, I do want to put something there for you, because we need to know something. So it's telling you for the adoption with the redemption. So we want to put in this to where we'll know. So for this adoption, we want to know what that is, and we're going to shorten that up, and redemption. We want to know what that is. And this is the adoption, so it's saying what? This is what we're going to sit there of what will be giving our new bodies. You want to save that. You want to save that there and make sure that you have that set up. So that's part of what that was doing. So make sure that you have saved that there, that we can go through. And I'm just trying to set up this other part here. And I'm trying to make sure something here. 1 second, I just got one part here that I need to do. And I know that should pop it right up. I know that should pop it right up right there. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So I just needed that one part there. And we got that set. But I just want to make sure that you guys have that. So make sure you go back, you study that to where you can go through. But what we're going to do is, if you guys look at the bottom in the description, you'll see a link there. And it's going to allow you guys to go over there to Zoom, to where we're going to have a counseling session because of what was going on, which we do know it's a lot of people that is within this walk where they're going to run against a lot of opposition. So what I want to make sure of, give you some tools that also assisted me to where I can give them to you to help you continue in this walk. Because people are going to tell you when you is sitting there, and you can show them, you can physically show people what you believe, and they cannot show you what they believe because they're going to use the same tool supposedly, but they're going to keep pulling you away from the tool to show you the belief. But you can show them everything you can believe all with the same tool. So what we're going to do, we're going to give some tools. So we've got a counseling session right after this. So if you guys want to join it, the link is at the bottom where you can come back there. On 2, we will be having a class tomorrow where we're going to be going through some of the same things we were going through with the expressive language that was being used. We will be having a class tomorrow. Tomorrow, I believe it's at 4. It's at 4 o'clock. So we will be doing that, and then we going on. And then I do know the deacons actually going to be doing classes to help you give more clarification and different things like that. And I know they also open up another part for that. And you also have the chance where if you want to join King James Bible University to where you can come into those higher learning classes, we do have the applications that where you can see them on the sites to where you can actually join. You can look at the Welcome to King James Bible University to where you can actually get it. So with that, we're going to end it here because we're going to go over there, because I'm going to be over there for about an hour and a half and give you guys some tools to help you